Hello and welcome to MCCM Mates Rates podcast, the podcast where we take a candid look at our guests' business journey from start to finish and they rate their business happiness. So today we have got James Worthington from Worthington Real Estates. How are we doing, James? You all right?
Great, Rich. How are you, pal?
I'm good, mate. I'm good.
Fantastic.
Another new father. We had a previous guest on, Lucas. He's just been a new dad, so congratulations, buddy.
Perfect, yes. Yep, she's doing well.
Yeah.
The missus is taking care and keeping the heat off me, so yeah, I'll be happy. I'm
Stuff,
happy
because there's 6 girls now, isn't there, between the two of you?
Between the two of us, yeah.
Oh,
Ranging 26 years, so I don't get out the woods.
I was going to say, for Jimmy's actually only 22 years of age, but the fact he's got 6 girls this is why he looks like he does. So, yeah. But yeah, we get straight into it, Jimmy. We don't mess about. We talk about, obviously, how you started the business, and then you rate your startup experience after question 1. So get straight into it, mate. Tell us about why you started Worthington Real Estate.
Well, Worthington Real Estate, I originally came from a background of security. I sold a bit of a security firm. I bought a bit of land. I built my own home, and then I refinanced the house. And at the time, I didn't know where I was going with anything. So I took a course, a Robbie Fowler course. I'm not trying to plug Robbie Fowler's course there, but I took this course. It was only 3 or 4 days. And after the course, I thought, you know what? It's pretty easy, this. So again,
I don't tell Robbie Fowler that. He makes a fortune for me.
Anyway, so refinanced the home. Started buying little buy-to-lets, a couple in Astley, a couple in Lee, 5 or 6 in Salford. Doing quite well, flipping a couple of the houses, keeping hold of the other ones, renting them out, so that was my steady income.
Yeah.
I was doing not so bad. Anyway, the housing market then took a rocket, for the next... So this is 6 years ago, so say 3 years ago. So all the houses that I had doubled in price.
Oh, wow.
And so it was doing really, I was then thinking I'll buy everything that I can get.
Yeah.
Anyway, I come across this old carpet warehouse. This is 3 years ago. I was seeing it. I looked, it's in the middle of Salford, slap bang in the middle, next to university, next to Media City, and further... 2.5 miles from town.
Yeah.
Easy bus route was right in front. Tram stop at the right hand side. I thought, you know what I'm going to do there? I'm going to buy that. It was a cheap price, by the way. Got it for quite a cheap price. Looked next door, seen what the price of the houses next door, seen this big warehouse and thought, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to knock it down and build 9 apartments to sell, obviously, for profit.
Yeah, make some money on it.
Get some great money out of it. So anyway, I bought it. I got it really, really cheap. And basically, I was going for planning. I was thinking, right, it's okay, we'll go for planning. It's going to be 5 or 6 months. I've got a history of homelessness myself.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a little bit. Yeah, I think it's really pertinent that we do that. But tell us about the startup now, and we'll go straight into that. After that.
So anyway, that was the plan. The plan was to knock it down, build 9 apartments, and either keep hold of them, rent them out next to Media City for say £1,000 a month, or sell them all for nearly 200 grand out and earn quite a bit of profit.
Yeah,
not as easy as that, but looking at a fast track, that's what I was ready to do, and everything was going great. Anyway, as I was saying then, I had a bit of a past of homelessness. I was born in a refuge, didn't start very well for me. 14 years old, I ran away from home. I got involved in all sorts of things. Obviously, I was a runaway. That crime comes with it. So, yeah, I had ties to homeless people. So what I'd done, I knew 5 or 6 charities. The charities, well, one was JVA, which was a veterans charity. Also, a young runaways charity. So I approached quite a few of them. I said, listen, I've just bought this building here. It's warm. It's got showers in there, toilets, and I'm waiting for planning. So for the next 4 or 5 months, if you want, you can use it for free. So JVA came back to me and the runaway charity and said, listen, we'll use that if you don't mind. I said, yeah, no problem. So straight away I went to work on it, only little bits and bobs, moved a few walls, put carpets on the wall, insulated it, got the showers running, the toilets. Then we put some pop-up tents in there. We opened a soup kitchen, an outreach centre for furniture, because it was a big warehouse. It's not a small place.
Yeah, seen it.
And, and it just started working. So it was working really well. obviously I was out doing other things while this was happening. I was leaving it to the charity to do it. And then obviously come March 2020, am I right? COVID.
Yeah, I think so, around then.
Was it? Yeah, so I bought in 2019. This is 6 months after. So it had been prolonged. Obviously planning had then been extended because COVID had hit. And I just said, right, yeah. So it ended up being 12 months. 12 months, running great. And then I got a phone call off the council and a big bill, business rates bill, 32,000 quid. So I tried to explain, listen, I've been doing this from here. I've not been using it for business. I've been earning no money out of it. And they basically come back and said, well, no, we still need paying. I said, well, how can I get out of it? So they said, well, the only way is to start the demolition process. In other words, cut the roof off.
Wow.
So I said, well, it didn't sit in right with me, this. I said, because I've got some homeless people in there. You know, I'm just waiting for planning. And when the planning comes, I can then say, let's move out. And, you know, I can give a bit of notice. But if you're telling me I've got to pay this in the next 4 weeks, unless I start the demolition process, then it's going to, you know, it's going to ruin people's lives.
Yeah.
But the council didn't care. And so I just said, right, okay then. I'm sorry. I had to go back that night, tell everybody they've got to move out. You know, I've got to start the demolition process and for the 9 apartments, which had been granted, by the way, by them.
Yeah.
Oh, so anyway, I had done it, moved them out, had to start cutting the roof off. I didn't want to start the demolition process. I didn't have to, but I did. So I had to move them all out. It was only probably 3 or 4 weeks later. And I was sat there and I was thinking just about the place and what it had done. I'd seen it save people's lives as just this scruffy carpet warehouse. You know, would I be able to do this, you know, with a full brand new building?
So do you think that you having to ask the homeless people who were working in, who were living in there to leave kind of spurred you on to think, you know what, there's bigger problems than me not being able to develop a few flats. These people need somewhere to stay. And that was where do you think that was the trigger to change your mind into turning it from flats into a homeless shelter?
Yeah, that. And when I seen it working, when I actually seen the people's lives being saved from this little unit and people getting, you know, freshening up in there, using the showers, coming there and just getting fed. You know, also the outreach centre, poor people getting furniture, old furniture, and was dropping it to people who've just basically been given a home with zero furniture, and children were in there. And it just got to me. And being an ex-homeless person myself, I thought, nah, I'm going to build an homeless shelter.
Yeah.
So I knew I didn't have the funds, but I thought, what I'll do, I'll start digging around, see if there's any funding to build a homeless shelter to help me to build it, because it was an expensive job, you know. The more I looked into it, I'd have to change my planning with fire regs, safer by design, which is, you know, in case anyone's really vulnerable in there where, you know, say from domestic violence or something like that, where a perpetrator can't just get in the building and get to people. It's
a whole different set of scenarios, isn't it?
Yeah. So I say an average build would be £500,000. This was going to be pretty much double that, just because all the studded walls have 1/2 inch of plywood in, all of the doors are, you know, heavily protected doors, so it's not your average flat door. It's, you know, you can't just kick through it. So I went to Homes England. They gave me this information pack. I told them what I wanted to do. They were well interested. They basically were saying, we need it. When can you get it done? I'm saying, well, as soon as you can help me out. Anyway, we got to it, filled out all the joinings, went to London, got the Safer by Design team in London to put their spin on my already pretty good drawings. They came back, everything was perfect, and then I sent it through to Homes England. They sent it me back, said, that's perfect. Have you got the other form with it? I said, you didn't give me another form. They said, no, we had to run concurrent. I went through my emails, they'd sent me one. So I said, all right then, I'll get the other one done, it wasn't like a little form. This is, you know, it's 6-7 weeks of you know, going to architects, going to previous builds that I'd done, everything. It's like going through with a fine tooth comb because, you know, I'm getting a grant of £750,000 here. It's not. So anyway, I got that done. 7-8 weeks later, sent it to them. They've gone through it. They said, oh, your first one's lapsed. So what do you mean? They said the funding, the actual time for that funding was March 2021 and it's now April 2021.
So an admin error on their part had
if they would have told me it would have been in. So they said, I said, well, what am I supposed to do now? They said, well, that funding isn't available anymore. So you're forgetting, I'm nearly 18. Well, I'm probably 14 months in here with application forms and back and forward. So I thought, well, I said, there's another one though that you can do. So I said, well, what's this? They said, it's the same thing, but it's a different name. I said, well, can't you just use my information and put it onto this other form and send it through? Because if you want to answer the same forms, then what's the point? They said, no, sorry, you're going to have to do it all again. So I said, so how long is this going to take? They said, well, looking at the track, it's normally around 12 months.
And what had you forecast? Once you'd gone into this mindset of wanting to turn this from a residential build into a homeless shelter, what had you set yourself time frames?
Yeah, I had, because from buying it, I knew, well, the time frame that I had at first was buy it, 6 months for planning, obviously before COVID, 6 months for planning, 14-month build.
Yeah.
At the most, it probably would be 9 months, but I always give myself a 30%. Yeah. I was expecting this to be built and sold within 18 months.
Yeah.
Anyway, obviously, when I let the homeless people in and plus the COVID hit, which was best part of 2 years, really, wasn't it? And everything had slowed down anyway. So everything wasn't going to go according to plan. I couldn't get people, you know, builders on there or nothing like that because of just the way it was. The drawings hadn't come back. So yeah, that was the time when they told me that they couldn't do it. I said, listen, I can't wait 12 months. In these 12 months, people are dying on the streets. People, the thing that I actually wanted to do, we're now 2 years in. There's no way. I'm not waiting another 12 months. You know, I said, sod it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to sell all my properties I've got. I'm going to fund it myself. I'm going to build it myself. So that was the point when I said, you know, it's either shit or bust. Either it works, it saves people's lives, or it doesn't.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it goes wrong, then, you know, it's not the best bit of business I've ever done. Yeah. But I'm 98% certain it won't go wrong.
Yeah. So I mean, up to that point, so I guess you would class that as your start-up point, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So your initial idea through to making that decision to turn it into a homeless shelter and then selling your properties. How would you rate that on 1 to 10 in terms of 1 being super difficult through to 10 1 being quite easy through to 10 being super difficult?
Well, it's got to be at 8, hasn't it? Because of the time it's taken. If I knew at the beginning that it was going to take this long, because, you know, I'm only just out the ground now, as you know. You've seen it yourself. I'm at foundation. We're digging the foundations now. But to get to this, you know, for me to refinance a building in the end, because that's what I had to do. It wasn't just sell the properties, because I'd sold a couple anyway to buy the actual unit at first. And then I sold the other 2 to the demolition, level 2 contamination reports, drawings, which was close to 35 grand. And then before I know it, I'm thinking, well, I haven't got enough to build it. So then refinance the land and the building. And that in itself, you know, I wasn't borrowing 20 grand from bank. I'm borrowing at, well, close to £750,000. So even that, it's, you know, it's not like, fill out this form at the bank. It was bloody 10 months. Yeah. 10 months of just waiting, and only 10 months, I've run out of money and I'm sat on my bloody hands. Yeah.
I think of all the guests that we've had on, yours has been the most interesting journey in the sense that, I mean, the next question is almost redundant because we usually ask question 2 is what's been your biggest obstacle, but you've just had obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, haven't you? Yeah. And I think that it gets to a point where a lesser man would have probably given up at this point, and getting to know you over the last 6 to 12 months, I think it's testament to how strong you are as a person and how you've followed things through. Not just mentally, but you've actually turned around and said, "Do you know what? I've got the ambition to see this through, and I am going to see it through." So, I mean, I guess I have to ask the question because, one, we've got to fill the time, and and two, it would be remiss of me not to. What would you class as the biggest obstacle to date?
Well, when the funding, when the council went cold on me, I didn't get that out then, I don't think. The council actually one day phoned up the Homes England and said, oh, no,
Is it Salford Council this?
Yeah, well, we're not really interested in it anymore because they was basically liaising with Homes England.
So they were going
to fund it, and they was going to rent it off me. So at the first scenario, I said, bloody hell, I didn't expect it to do this. This it's going to build itself, and they're going to rent it back off me, and I've just got to keep hold of the maintenance. I thought, all my Christmas had come over at once. One, I was going to get paid changing people's lives, and it was going to save 200-300 people's lives a year.
Yeah.
And I that was when I was top of the world, and that phone call, and then the funding within the same week.
Oh, mate.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I went home that night and I thought, what now?
Yeah.
What now? And I mean, seriously, okay, you always look at the good things that you've got. That's one way I get through things is that my children are healthy. I eat well. I've got a roof over my head. I drive a van or car. It's okay, don't worry. But when something happens like that, it's like when you think, oh shit,
yeah,
this is fucking real.
Well, do you know what? It's a great message to send that as well to the listeners, because there are a lot of people who give up at the first hurdle, and the amount of shit that's been thrown at you in such a short space of time, and a lot of it, in fact, probably 99% of it, out of your control. It's not like you've made an error somewhere or a mistake that you then have to rectify. It's other people that have got your livelihood and your project in their hands, and they've thrown this up, and for you to obviously bounce back from that and say, you know what, fuck yous, I'm going to go and do it anyway. So when you've just said, like, what am I going to do? So what did you do to get the project back on track?
Well, what I done then, I advertised online, listen, I'm self-funding a homeless facility. I'm going to do this by myself. I didn't mention what had happened with the council. I just put, this is what I'm going to do. I've got an old building. I've seen it work. And I'm going to deliver a homeless shelter that's going to save people's lives. Before I knew it, I had the likes of building merchants come forward. They donated all the bricks to me. Then I've had the likes of Sunbelt Rentals donated cabins to me. Selco give me, I think it's £2,000 or £3,000 on their account, donated all the drainage. Then somebody come forward, they give me a price, demolition. MCCM, free socials.
Yeah.
Everybody who I know, and then we've done this buy a brick campaign where people bought a brick for the facility with an engraved name of a loved one or something like that. But we had to shut that down because the funders didn't like it. It says it doesn't look like you've got enough money, so we won't borrow you that money if you have this buy a brick campaign. So I can keep what I've done already, but I couldn't progress with it anymore.
Fundraising anymore because they saw it as you already had funds in place.
Yes,
it's so crazy, isn't it? How much red tape is involved?
Because if you think about it, if that would have took off properly, because it still raised 10,000.
Yeah, it did.
If that would have took off properly when it started going on, maybe I might have raised the 750.
Yeah.
And maybe I wouldn't have had to borrow all this, because let's be honest, if I get this wrong, because it can go wrong, you've always got to plan for disaster, especially with what I've been through. I lose absolutely everything. And it's not just that building I'll lose my house. And, I won't be, I'd never get to the point of homelessness because I've been there and I've got the certain tools that I know that'll never happen ever again. But yeah, it's a massive, massive risk. I could lose everything, but on the other side of the coin, when it works, we will save people's lives.
Yeah. And I think that we just want to go back and touch on the fact that the generosity and kindness of people like Selco and other people that have contributed has been a massive boost for you and the project. And it actually, as an outsider looking in, and I've had minimal input on this, to be honest with you, haven't I, Jimmy? I've had a little bit of help or giving you a little bit of
Yeah,
help,
you have,
but
yeah.
to see people's kindness, it does restore a little bit of faith in humanity, that people actually do care, and they see that the benefit of something like this can actually change people's lives, like you keep saying. And I'm hoping that people listening to this today, whether you be a startup business, a business owner, an investor, or just somebody who actually gives a shit about humankind, that you check Jimmy out and you actually think to yourself, do you know what, if I can just give a little bit of time helping as a labourer and coming down to site and digging a few holes and getting my feet dirty.
I get a lot of that. It is amazing, what the community are doing.
Well, it's funny you should say that. So tell us a little bit about, you've actually had homeless people who've had building experience come down and volunteer, haven't you?
Yeah, volunteer with driving certificates and things like that. A few of them were machine drivers. They came down, I had the machines. They were digging out the holes for me. Even local firms send down at weekend labourers. Old ladies come with cakes.
Yeah,
and bring cakes for all the builders, and and sandwiches, and certain companies come down sometime, load of pies over this for all the workers on the. It's bloody great.
Yeah,
and it actually, the people that work on the site, they all love it there, because it's got that much momentum in the Salford area.
Yeah,
where it's a well-known project. I mean, most people are talking about it. Most people want to see it working, and most people, what I'm going to touch on is that the clientele that are going to be in there, that I've been having discussions with certain people are divorced dads. Dads who've lost their houses, the children, then they're losing their jobs. So a lot of people who can relate to that, and I've advertised it as that. They're everybody's all in, and it's not just them sort of firms, the big ones. This I thought I forgot the name. H&S Electric Supplies. All the electrics for it. Howden's, free kitchens. Not all kitchens. 3 of the 8 that are in there.
Yeah.
And it does give you faith in humanity, where you start thinking, wow.
Yeah.
People are pulling together.
Yeah. So I mean, for the people that are obviously listening and they are going to check this out after the podcast, hopefully, tell us where the project is right now and what your timeframes are, hopefully, to get this complete.
Well, I'm at ground level now. As I said, the building's been demolished. We've then put the piling in. We've laid the ground beam last week, and we're up to, we've dug the foundations, and we're laying the ground beam this week. So that's last week, this week. So then we're looking like at a concrete pour. We should have the bricklayers on just before Christmas. I'm quite certain we will have it done for August.
That's brilliant.
I'm quite certain. I mean, if it runs over a month, yeah, but I'm absolutely sure this time next year, if I'm sat here, it'll be completely done, up and running, changing lives.
I'd love to have you back on, and I'd love to discuss it in August next year. And hopefully the last question, obviously your business happiness or your project happiness, where are you right now? I think I already know the answer, because you're not complete, so you're not happy.
No way.
But I'm hoping by August next year, I can come back and you can say, you know what, I'm 10 out of 10 because people have pulled together and we've completed this project. So
yes,
where can people check you out, James?
They can get me on Instagram, Worthington Real 5, Twitter, Worthy3112. They can also get me on LinkedIn, James Anthony Worthington. And I'm not a Facebook user, so I'm not on Facebook. Oh, I'm on TikTok now as well.
He's a TikTok
superstar. Bit of dancing going on. That's again Worthy3112 as well on TikTok. So yeah, that's where you can get me. If you want to follow the journey, it'd be great,
Yeah, and don't just follow it. Anybody who's listening who feels like they can contribute anything to this, please get in contact with James and let's make this project happen, because it's definitely a worthwhile project.
Yeah, so you're going to ask what my rating here now.
Yeah, so you rate your business happiness or your project happiness right now, mate.
With momentum off everybody and what's happened in the past 6 months when everyone's got together, I'm going to give myself a 4, which is thinking. But next year when you ask me, I'm going to give myself a 25, I think. I'll be off the radar.
Ears open, mate, ears open. No, I really appreciate you coming in and talking about this. And yeah, in terms of all of the guests we've had on, this has been something a little bit different, because obviously this is something that is 100% going to change people's lives for the better. So please get behind it. Check him out on social media. And we'll have you back in a year.
Yeah, you shall.
Cheers, fella.
Very happy me then.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Rich.